All right, guys. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Small Business Big Stories podcast. I'm here with a very special woman. She goes by the name of Gazzy. I'm going to stop myself there because I like to let the guests introduce themselves. Nobody else does it better than you. So I will pass it along. I'm so excited for this chat this afternoon. Gazzy and I have been connected for some time now. We met at a Women Who Freelance event, and the minute I met her, she just gave me the most vibrant, positive, exuberant energy. And I was like, I need to stay in touch with this girl. She is giving me vibes that I aspire to have. And not to say that I don't have them, but show them off more and value them more. So take it away.
Well, you thought I was vibrant because that's what you have in you. And so you saw that in me.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. We see what we already have in other people. And so I actually saw that in you too. And that's the power of networking. I remember we met right as I was leaving.
Yes.
And there was something about us that was like, oh, you got to talk to this girl.
I know.
And you got to go here.
I came by myself. And well, that was a big deal for me. I was at a point where I was experimenting with going to events by myself, going to dinner by myself, and just doing a lot of self-work. And yeah, that particular event was one where I walked in somewhat nervous, somewhat uncomfortable. And then as soon as I was about to wrap things up, I had made some really good connections. And I was really proud of myself for like hanging in there. But it didn't feel like I was necessarily hanging in there. It felt like I made the effort. I was around people that I didn't know, and I made genuine connections, people that I still keep in contact with in addition to yourself. Yeah. So, and then the minute I was about to leave, you approached me and we started chatting as if we had known each other. And so now I connect to the idea of like what I have in myself is sort of what gravitated you to me and vice versa. So, okay, you're right. So go for it. Tell everyone who you are, what you do.
Hi, I'm Gazzy. I'm a sales consultant, but I realized yesterday I was actually at a conference and they said, don't introduce yourself as your boring self. Introduce yourself like, what would you like to be known for? So I would like to be known for creating impact for women. And so that's like my formal bio. Like that's what I do for a living. We help sales teams grow their teams and make more money doing what they love. But on a deeper level, I'm a cat mom. I'm a yogi in Toronto. I'm someone who went from quitting their 9-to-5 and starting my life in entrepreneurship. So I've had a pretty unique story, but now I'm just wanting to be known for creating impact. So Gazzy, known for creating impact. That's me.
I love it. And I love that approach too. Oftentimes when I introduce myself, I go straight to my profession, what I do to make money. Yeah. And not to say that anything is wrong with that, especially because I enjoy what I do very much. It's a big part of my identity. But it is hard to set that aside and think a little deeper as to who you are and what makes you who you are aside from your professional endeavors. Yeah. So I really appreciate that you gave me that deeper definition of who you are. I said before we started to record that I wanted to start off by touching on a post that you either posted yesterday or this morning.
This morning.
Yes. And it was a picture of you and your mom. And on top of it, it was a story about how way back when you decided to quit your 9-to-5 and also decline your master's program.
Yeah, I was about to start in like 2 weeks. Wow. And I just was like, I'm declining. Like I'm rejecting the offer just right before it happened.
Yeah. And you mentioned how disappointed your family was, specifically your mom, that it was really hard to interact with her because she most likely, and you can elaborate, had this sort of image for you or for her children, and what success meant and what that looked like. And coming from an immigrant family, I feel like a lot of people can share that sentiment, that experience with their family, knowing that they bring their life to, for us, it's Canada, and they have a certain image of success and what that means for them and what that means for their family. And when you deviate from that, like you did, it's a shock. It's a shock to them for sure. So I'd like to bring it back there and tell me what that experience was like, what you were experiencing, what the thought process was, what brought you to that moment of, I'm not going into my master's program and I'm quitting my 9-to-5. And tell us all what your 9-to-5 was, because it sounds super cool.
Okay, you used the word your mom was shocked when she found out.
Yeah.
My mom was shocked and heartbroken.
Yeah,
like,
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, and the last thing we want to do, like, you never want to see your parents upset or sad, right? Like, that's just, it's not something you'd want to feel. It's like if your mom or dad, like, you don't want to see your kid sad either. It's one of those people you love a lot, and so you don't want to disappoint or deviate from their expectations. But from the moment my parents moved to Canada, that was even before I was born, 32 years ago, they had an idea of what Canadian success look like, right? They're coming from a country where opportunity is not the same way as it is in Canada. And so when they came here, even before I was born, they knew, like, okay, we were going to raise kids that would get a great education, have lots of opportunity, and do what they thought was successful, which is either become a doctor, become a lawyer, become an engineer, get a PhD, you know, those like very basic certificate diploma ideas of success. And I don't blame them. Like, they mean well, obviously.
Yeah.
They want what's best for me. So they don't know better. Like, at that level of awareness, they're immigrants in a new country. That's what they defined as success. So I respect and understand their perspective. But when I was 21, I started feeling like, no way is that going to be my reality. And like you said, doing that like internal work, like focusing on yourself, I was in that phase of my life where I was like, okay, I had a job. I was already working in politics. You asked about my work.
Yes.
I had been working in politics for a few years, and then it started to feel like, I don't think this is it for me. Like, it wasn't even that I knew what I wanted to do, but I just had this feeling of like,
You just knew that wasn't it.
yeah, I was just like, oh, you know, and I was actually really good at it. So it wasn't even that I wasn't vibing with the work. Like, I was, and I was doing well, and I was getting promoted, and people were starting to know me, and I was, you know, becoming a team member on like pretty big teams. But I was just like, it can't be this. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's more to it.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the idea in my mind. And I was on track to go back and get my master's. I was doing a master's in, what was it even called? So boring. Public administration for public policy. Like,
Okay.
couldn't tell you why I wanted to do that.
Sure. Well,
but
you
again,
were in government, and that definitely makes sense.
And I'm just thinking like the order of the ladder, like working up the ladder. It's like, okay, the next thing for me, what's the next thing? It's like, okay, I could go get a master's and probably get more money at work. But I was just thinking through that lens, you know, like working my way up the ladder. And then when I was like, oh, like, what if there could be more to this? Like, what if I actually did something I liked? And so I started getting into a path of self-discovery and like really getting connected to myself and listening more to my intuition and realizing like, there's more to this. Like, I don't have to live this autopilot pre-designed life. Like,
how old were you at that point?
I'm really young. Like, I'm in my 21, like very early 20s. But
yeah,
I knew deep down inside that it wasn't it. And I remember I was traveling at the time. I was on an 8-week backpacking journey.
Okay.
I quit first, and then I dropped out of my master's.
Wow. Did you have a job lined up when you quit?
No.
Woo!
No job lined up. And
yeah,
I had only ever worked in politics, so I had no other experience.
Right.
So it wasn't even like, oh, like I'll go work at the mall. Like I didn't know how to sell things. Like I was like, oh, like I'll do this. Like I had no idea.
But there's a ton of transferable skills when you work for the government.
But I had, again, imagine I'm in this very lined up path of just like you're focusing on this path. And so I didn't explore many other things. Like I didn't have a regular job. Like, you know, people work a minimum wage job. Like I started in politics. I was a volunteer and then I like got into the political realm.
Wow.
So I didn't really have like, oh, like I worked at this gas station or I worked at this store or I sold shoes at this mall. Like,
sure.
I had no other idea of what I could do because I'd only done that one thing.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to quit this, traveled a little bit. And then I remember I was in Chile and I was like, I'm going to drop out of my master's. And I was just like, I'm going to do it. And I remember thinking I was in an Airbnb and I remember having my laptop. And the only thing I thought was, I'm not going to tell anyone until I do it.
Yeah.
Because if I tell anyone, they'll make me change my mind. And I knew, like,
isn't that the truth?
right? Like I knew if I had told my mom I'm going to drop out, she would have just been like, no. And like try and like backtrack
absolutely.
me.
And make like such good points as to why you shouldn't. And then you're like,
and I'm a former people pleaser. Like all I wanted to do was make my parents proud. I was in that position in the first place because
I'm still there.
Right? So I'm like, but I just knew that if I told anybody, they would try and sway me out of the certainty that I felt in that moment.
Yes.
Knowing I had just traveled. I was in my like find yourself era.
Absolutely. And nothing beats your gut.
Exactly. At the time, I had no idea what it was called. Now I know more. It's like, oh, intuition. Like I was, you know, it's always talking. Like, am I listening to myself? At the time, I was just like, I know. Like, I know. That was the only way I could explain it. And so I opened the laptop, went on the website, declined. And then I was like, shit. So now I got to tell my parents, and the rest of my life was going to obviously change. I thought my parents would definitely like cut me out of their life.
Yeah.
They still love me, which is the good news. But yeah,
it was rough.
It was rough. It was rough and it was messy. And it was a lot of shame and guilt, which is what I shared on my story this morning, that I felt like I was disappointing my parents. And they were crying. Like my dad cried. My mom was crying. Like it's not what you would want to see. But I just knew, again, I
stuck to your guns.
Yeah, I knew that I had to do something different, and I didn't know what the answer was. Like some people know, like, oh, I'm a good dancer, I'm going to become a dance teacher.
Yeah.
Or like I'm a fitness instructor, I'm going to open up my studio. I didn't know anything like that. So I was like, I'm just going to try stuff other than masters. But if I'm in my masters, it will be hard for me to try new things, and I'm going to stay focused on that. And so like that was a huge shift in the start of my entrepreneurship career 4 years ago now, almost 5.
Wow. And so what did you try?
Lots of things. Okay, I'm a yoga teacher. Yes. I'm a Thai massage therapist.
Okay.
Yeah, which is incredible. If you don't know about that, definitely got to try some Thai massage in Toronto. Yeah. What else did I do? I traveled. I did digital marketing, which I still do as part of my work, but this was just like me trying to refine my offer.
Absolutely.
I did event planning. I thought I would teach yoga to kids. I tried that for a little bit. So I explored and I allowed myself to explore.
I love that.
People think, okay, what's the next plan? What's the action step? And I was talking to someone yesterday and she said, like, I need a safety net. I always need an action plan. And I was like, I didn't have that stuff.
Yeah.
And it still worked out for me. So you don't need it. We want certainty as humans. So it's nice to have that backup plan. But now that I think of it, I'm like, dude, I'm so freaking happy that I gave myself the damn time to try different things.
Sure.
And it was a few months, right? Like I gave myself a few months to try different things, even years. Like I'm still teaching yoga where I can and Thai massage where I can. But to build the business I have today, it wasn't like I knew exactly what I would do.
Right.
There's a process I found for myself. I can't say it's for everyone, but you have to allow yourself, if you don't know, to try different things and see what actually feels good and what excites you. And I did a little bit of that. It was the messy middle. It didn't look fun, or You know, like it's just like freaking trying shit as an entrepreneur and just being like, damn, I got to make some money.
Absolutely. I'm smiling because I did the exact same thing.
There you go.
I graduated from university, and I've told this story quite a bit, but I was really deterred away from my program. I went to York, and I did a psychology major. And I also got my teacher's degree at the same time. York used to, I don't know if they still have this program. It was called the concurrent program. So you could do your teacher's degree while you completed your undergraduate degree. And I remember going through my degree and being like, what am I doing here? I still call it the most expensive piece of paper I own, or I have. Sorry, I don't own it, that I have. It has granted me opportunities, and I'll always admit to that. But I didn't have a great time in my program. And I had friends in that program that were all having an amazing time. And it was really deterring me from what I thought was my destiny. It was my plan to be a teacher. And so I finished school, and I remember throwing away all of, and maybe burning some, all of my teacher related documents, resources. I said, I'm not doing this. It's the worst profession for me, and I don't want to have anything to do with it. And so I went into property management. It was I was looking for a job right after university. I needed to make money. I was living on my own. I had to pay bills. And so, yeah, I went into property management, and it was my expensive piece of paper that got me that position. Yep. And my then boss said, you know, you were fresh out of university. We want that fresh, and vibrant attitude and approach to work. And so I did that for a couple of years. I worked at a veterinary emergency clinic, and thought I wanted to work with animals. I had like a lifelong obsession with animals, and thought, let me venture into it in a professional sense. Yep. And then I came into fitness, a little bit more focused in fitness. And then I made my way back to teaching.
Yeah. That's the journey.
It was, and it continues to be. I still continue to dabble for sure, because I think that's what just brings value to my experience, and what brings value to the kids that I teach, to the clients that I have, to the adults that I also teach, are my continuous life experiences. So I really relate to that dabbling, that dipping your toe into different things, and then that resulting in, you know, a better business, a better you. And I just can't say it enough that I value dabbling, and I think I will do it for the rest of my life. I don't know if I could be that person, and I don't think a lot of us can be. You know, it's a very sort of different mentality when we think of our parents or our grandparents, where they stayed in one job for 15 plus years. Yep. And so I think for us and the generations coming after us are very much now like, I will try something out. If it doesn't fit, I'm going to try something else, or creating something of our own. So again, all in that to say, really admire the steps that you took to discover who you are. And I very much relate. And it gives me more of a reassuring feeling to know that others are doing it. Others continue to do it. And it's not just a matter of being like a scatterbrain and not knowing what you want. If anything, it brings attention to you knowing what you want, and you understanding that you need to do a little bit more explanation or exploration to get that full picture of what you want and who you are in that.
Yeah.
So,
and I think even now, like now that I've grown a company, I think even in that, I still like to, you know, you use the word dabble around. Like I'm multi-passionate. And so yes, I wear a main CEO hat of the company. And that's kind of the role that I play throughout the day, serving our clients, making sure the team's on track. But you also know I host events with Run the World.
Yes.
You know, I do speaking
I'm so excited to attend one of their events.
Yes. And so I find that when I allow myself, and this is a new mentality that I had, it wasn't always like this. In the first few years of my business, I was very focused on just building the business.
Yes.
But now I'm of the belief that when I allow myself to dabble with my different passions, they use different parts of my brain. And so when I'm running events with Run the World and we're thinking about, you know, the backdrop and the flow of the client experience, that's using a different creative side that I can then transfer over or just enlighten different parts of my brain for when I'm doing CRM sales strategy with one of our corporate teams. And so if I'm doing these different things, working at a yoga retreat, I do coaching at yoga retreats. That's another passion of mine, being involved in the movement and wellness community. When I do these different things, it just makes me feel better. And so because I'm feeling better and I'm using different parts of my heart, my soul, my body, my mind, I'm like energizing more ways. And so I actually end up giving more and bringing different energy from each of these things to one. I just share that because I also remember thinking like, I can't do a few different things, not only in
I have to be known for this one thing.
Yeah. And I do I still do want to be known for an expert in sales, but I also want to be known, as I mentioned to you, for my advocacy and, you know, for the communities that I'm a part of and the communities that I build. And so I've now just been like, you know what? I make the rules. Like, I'm going to build my life based on my design, and my design includes allowing myself to do a few different things. Even if I figured it out, like we were talking about, allow yourself to figure it out, try different things to figure things out. But even once you've figured it out, still allow yourself to do some things, because being multi-passionate is a beautiful thing and it's not meant to be restricted. And like, I feel like I'm in that season, even as I'm saying it to myself, I'm like, yeah, like I'm in that season of not boxing myself and just allowing myself to explore different passions as well.
Incredible. So delve a little bit deeper for us into what you provide to your clients from the sales expert perspective. Yes. So who are your clients and what do you do to help them build their business?
Love this question.
Yeah.
Okay. So we work with two different types of people. We work with entrepreneurs as one group of people, and then we work with corporate teams as our second group of people. And so what that looks like is different in each of those pillars, but I'll talk a little bit about both of them with you. From the entrepreneurship side, well, first off, we meet the client where they're at. So we don't sell like a one size fits all program. It's more of a consulting model. So what we help one person with isn't necessarily what we help the other with. And that's something I really believe in. Like, I know some people can sell like one thing that will help so many people. I'm in the era of just like working exactly with the person in front of me for their unique needs, because we're creating a customized, unique sales process. And so everything's really customized. But typically what I find when we work with an entrepreneur, we're helping them build their client journey, like what that looks like from the moment the client meets them to the moment the sale happens. We're helping them set up some of their CRM. If they're at that stage, they may not be there. They might be at...
What does that mean?
Oh, we'll get there when we talk about the corporate side, because it matters most there. But what will really help the entrepreneurs with is like getting clear on their offer. Like, what is it that they're selling?
Got it.
What's the price that they're selling it at? Because that's a big deal for entrepreneurs. They don't know how to price themselves. Most times they're really undervaluing what they're selling. And so we help them create an offer that excites them, like they feel really good about selling. And then we help them find the people through marketing, how to find the people, how to promote your business, and then how to sell and serve them as well. And the way we work with clients is over 6 months at a time. Again, it's super customized. So it's not like buy this 90-page course and you're going to get like all the answers. Like, we're walking every step of the way with you. So you tell us what your goal is in your business, and then we create what we call our sprints. There are strategy sessions. We run our sprints to match your goal. It's your company. We're just there to help you take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of the entrepreneur side. We're helping clients with that. And it's a wide range of clients. Like, we work with I have fashion stylist clients. I've got people who work in finance. I've got people who work in wellness. I've got people who sell coaching. So it's, again, not as niche as some people would say like your business has to be, because we don't sell a one size fits all service. So we really
can't,
get to,
because of the different individuals that you work with.
Exactly. And we really want to make the sales process unique. Like, you don't want to be selling the same way as everyone else. If you want to stand out in your industry, you have to sell in a genuine, authentic way that feels good for you. So we help you get clear on what that is.
Absolutely. And if you were to sell a one size fits all, it wouldn't cater uniquely to wellness, to medicine, to finance, right? And this is where, we come back to that dabbling.
Yep.
And how those experiences can help inform and better serve your clients.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Okay, so that's the entrepreneurship side. And then this year, we've been working more with corporate teams.
Okay.
And so we've got a handful of corporate clients, and our corporate clients are typically at a stage where they have anywhere between 1 to 5 sales reps.
Okay.
So it's people who are selling on behalf of the company.
Right.
And we work with the sales reps to create the workflows and the sales journey. So as a sales rep, you would get leads from the company, or you generate leads, and then it's your responsibility to take these leads, to give them all the information they need, nurture them, provide value, so that if it's a right fit, they would
become a client.
Yeah, become clients.
Yes.
And so we really create that entire journey. And you asked the word, like, what's the CRM?
Please.
You might know them as like HubSpot, Salesforce.
Okay.
These are softwares that are...
Got it.
Yeah, where you basically, like, it's client retention management is the nerdy word for it.
Yeah.
But it's basically like the universe where all of your leads live. And so if you're a sales rep, you got to know how to work your CRM.
Yeah.
And if you have a service-based company where you have thousands of leads, you should not be putting that stuff in Excel spreadsheets. It should be organized and tagged and segmented and sequenced into a system that can help you make sales effortless, and for you to delegate to your sales rep properly. We want to set the sales rep up for success. I've been a sales rep before, so I know what would be helpful. And we create systems that make it super easy for sales reps to make money. So we're working with that team on that side. We work with, to give you kind of an idea of our clientele here, we work with clinics. Those are service-based businesses. We also sell some tech software. We work with a company that does that. We work with a company that works in compliance. So these are bigger name corporate clients.
Okay.
And we only work with a handful of them at once because it requires lots of touch point and lots of work. And
absolutely. A lot of attention.
Lots of attention. And we want to make sure that our clients are seeing the benefits in working with us, and we want to give them our absolute 100%. So we're only working with a handful of corporate clients right now to really build our portfolio and take the team to the next level. So we're doing a little bit of both. We've got the entrepreneurial hub on one side, and then we've got the corporate clients on the other side. And I'm having fun with both of those things right now.
Incredible. And when you say we, let me ask you this. Do you work with your husband?
No.
Okay.
My husband would not want to work with me. No, he would not want to work with me.
Honestly, the way sometimes things are posted, I thought that you guys work together.
Okay. Well, I should say, I give him full credit because he does do a lot of the things for the business.
Okay.
He's a really good numbers guy, and he loves Excel spreadsheets. Ooh. So I'm like, create me a revenue tracker. Create a revenue tracker template for the company. Do this for us. Can you help me with invoicing? Can you look at my QuickBooks for a second? Like, he's really good with like...
And dinner will be ready soon. And then,
yeah.
and
no,
then,
I also won't cook. So don't count on me for that. But he's super helpful. But no, I don't imagine my husband working for the company. I think we really value what we've got as a couple, and I really want to honor that. Like,
I respect that.
Yeah, when work is done, like, he sometimes tells me, like, your phone's got to go.
Yeah,
like, like work is done. And so I feel like if we also worked together, then it would just be like never ending work. And I'm sure he wouldn't be okay with that. But I do rely on his support a lot for things like software, Excel spreadsheets, and he's always willing to help. But no, I like to keep clear boundaries. Yeah. And so when I say we, I'm actually referring to our growing team.
Okay.
Yes. I've got a small but mighty team right now. There's subcontractors that take on these clients with us. We have some people in the content creation field, some people in email marketing. I've got an admin team that's growing, which also supports our clients. And we're building a roster of people that can also support our clients. So I'm trying to build a team of really incredible, young, vibrant, next level leaders. And yeah, I'm really proud of what we've been doing, because I realize if you want to build something incredible, you need a group of incredible people to do it. And I've got good ideas, but I don't have all of the good ideas. But if I bring people who have really good ideas around me, and I build a team where I'm fostering that creativity and helping them get clients and take their work to the next level, I have more fun doing that. Like I rise with others. I think it's a group thing. And so I'm really grateful. We're at 3 people right now working with us, and I'm looking forward to growing that so that we can serve more clients soon as well.
Fantastic. And okay, so I have to ask you, when you decided to pivot and decline certain things that were, you know, part of your quote unquote path, what was the thought process around finances? Like how you were going to take that risk? Did you feel as though you were in that position to make that step in the direction where you said to yourself, okay, I'm not going to go to school. I'm not going to continue this 9 to 5, but I am going to explore and experiment. What was that thought process around money? Because that's a big one for me. It's a big one. It's still a big one for me, where I want to take steps. And I've felt through my mat leave that if I want to, and if I let myself, I could really make significant strides in regards to my own business. Yes. But the money part of it and the lack of security, like you mentioned before.
That safety net.
Woo, it holds me back. And especially now having a family. Yes. I have a little boy now. He's 6 months already. That is also another hesitancy. So tell me, like, what was your thought process in that regard?
I was feeling some of the stuff that you're explaining, right? That like anxiety of like, will there be money? Because
will this work?
Yeah, we've got bills to pay. And so that's kind of at the forefront of the decision making. At that first stage when I had quit, I had some money saved up for myself.
Okay.
And so I was banking on figuring it out before that dried out. Fair. So that was like, again, still worrying. Like, so I've got like X amount of time to figure it out. I also right away did things that I knew would make me money easily. And so I was still like, I'm talking about like teaching swimming, teaching French, like, you know, side money that was coming in. This is like cash. I'm like 19, 20 years old at the time, right? So I was doing those things. So I'm not going to say I wasn't taking action. But when it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to build a business, and that's when I needed the money, there wasn't other money coming in at that time. So I was really betting on myself is the right word. Yeah. Because I remember the first investment I made in coaching, I hired a coach so that I could figure it out. I remember texting my sister and being like, can I use your Visa to make a payment? And she was like, what are you buying? ... Sounds sketch. Yeah. And I was like, I promise it's legal.
Gotta love sisters.
I was like, I promise it's legal, and there's an invoice. Like, I'll show you the invoice. And she was like, okay. So I actually borrowed money for the first investment of my business. And that's the raw truth, right? It's like,
thank you.
Yeah. Like, I didn't have it figured out at that time, but I knew that I was going to pay my sister back and I would figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude that I have, that it's an attitude thing. It's a mindset thing. It's a choose to believe, because you better bet there's days where I'm like, okay. Even just paying taxes last week, like, okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur, having your own business.
Figuring all that stuff out. So I'm telling you, like, I'm still experiencing these things. But throughout my journey, what has been constant is I'm educating myself on money and learning about like the spirit of money, the essence of money, that money's energy. And I've studied with Bob Proctor, and that's one of the things he was always teaching me, is that money is energy, and you have to trust and you have to have faith in the unknown. And when you leap, support would be there. Like, these are the things. So true. Yes.
Anytime I have felt like hesitant about something, and this is something that I really need to, just set concrete in my head. Yep. Anytime where I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, and, really grappling with something, and it works out.
But you have to jump. So one of the best analogies, like, that I've heard about this, and I've gone skydiving. That's why I use this example. It's like,
you've literally jumped.
Yeah. So you can't ask, like, is it going to open? Like, you have to jump, you free fly for 20 seconds, and then they open the parachute balloony thingy over you. But
yes.
You have to jump first before you pull for that extra support, but you have to trust that it's going to open.
Yeah.
And so if you don't trust that the support's going to come, you're not going to take the action, and you've got to trust. And so even like hiring people to do things, like, the money hasn't come. Am I willing to pay this for this? Like, I have to invest and trust that the money would come back. And I've done this time and time again in my business, but I've also realized, like, when I've made those investments in myself, it's so interesting for me to see how quickly now the money shows up. And then that helps me build my belief more that, like, yes, I always say money will always support my goals. Always.
Yeah.
Always. And I've even thought of that. Like, we just came back from Morocco. It's an investment to travel, right? It's an investment.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. And there is money associated to it.
Sure.
So at the beginning, you're saying, like, how do you do it? I'm like, oh, okay, that's gonna be more than I thought. I had that feeling.
Yes.
And then I also remember my husband and I having the conversation, and me saying with absolute confidence that this is such a beautiful experience that we're going to do with our family, and money will always support us. Absolutely. Let's put it on the visa, and we're going to take care of it. And then it happens, and then money shows up, and then you sign on more clients. But if you don't allow yourself to move forward, you can't receive the money back. And so this is where my study with money is going, and understanding that, like, you have to take those leaps of faith.
Yes.
And believe in something that doesn't exist and you can't see, and you have to trust yourself. And when you take those leaps, that the universe then supports you and is like, yes, we're going to support you. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's honestly just my learning as I'm going. It's through my own experience that I'm like, oh shit, okay, that was quick. Like, I said yes to this. Like, we paid $3,000 for a video content day. Like, okay, that's an investment. And then quickly money coming and a client paying in full the next day. Like, I'm just like, ooh, okay. I'm seeing
You're
how
like, today and yay tomorrow.
Yeah. And so then that's also what I'm learning in entrepreneurship, that it is that way.
Yeah.
And that money has to be in flow and in rotation. And when you can understand that about money, then you can start to welcome more of it in. And so I'm being less gripping with money with this idea, and really trying to understand that it's flow. The more I put out, the more comes back, and to not be afraid to make investments in leap, because I'm trusting that I'm always going to be supported with that. It's just a beliefs thing. And then the more you believe in it, the more evidence starts to show up to be like, yes, this is a good belief to have. Keep going here.
This morning I heard that confidence is an attitude.
100%.
It's part of something that you build, and it's one that I feel like you're describing right now.
Yeah.
Where it's what you've adapted. It's that mindset that you've adapted, and is the result of that confidence, is it always going to pan out the way you thought, the way that you were confidently thinking that it would pan out? Maybe not. But the confidence, that attitude stays constant.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I admire it, and it's igniting, like, it continues to ignite my fuel, which is why I continue this podcast, because it is also an investment, to have what is going on here, for sure. And I will continue it as long as I can, because it is something that has helped me build that attitude.
Absolutely.
That confidence attitude. And it's helped me in more ways than I could sit here and explain in one episode, because it has, like you mentioned, given to not only my focus being teaching, but it is given to, in the traditional sense, like in a classroom, but it is given to my other teaching ventures as well. It is given to my family and the way that I am with my family. And it is given to me. And so it's something that I'll never stop.
Yeah.
So I see that with you, and like the way that you talk about your business, the way you light up when you talk about your business, and how you even explain the risks and rewards. It's all worth it. Yeah. And it's all something that gives you that fuel and satisfies that craving of creativity and just being, you know, it's such a rush to just feel your authentic self in pretty much everything that you do.
You'd want to do that. I've pretended to be someone I'm not for so long.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, it's easier to just be yourself. And so whatever that looks like, whatever stage of your business you're at, you just want to be yourself and trusting that everything happens for a reason to lead you to where you are, right? Like you mentioned, like, yeah, you were in a classroom, not necessarily now, but those teaching patterns and how you communicate with people and understand people, and especially kids, like that's like the next generation.
Kids are very much like adults and vice versa.
Yeah, but also smarter, and they say it exactly how it is, and they don't pretend to be people they're not, and they're not worried about hurting your feelings. They're going to tell you how it is.
Gotta love kids.
Right, gotta love them. But all those things then make you a better podcast host as well. And so that's part of what I also in my journey had to accept, because there was so much of my life where I was like, I wasted so much time and energy in
being something you weren't.
Yeah. And that, and then also realizing that now I must be grateful for that experience, because that experience shaped me to who I am today. And I would not be who I am today, whether like I'm wearing my CEO hat, friend hat, you know, like whatever.
Cat mom hat.
Yeah, exactly. Any hat I'm wearing, it's made me a better version of that person because of those experiences. And yeah, like some of what I thought was a waste of time, or even bad experiences that we've had, or bad jobs or bad partners, whatever it is, where you're just like, oh, why did I spend so much time and energy there? You realize like all of that was meant to happen. It was part of the journey. And so embracing that makes me feel better about it.
I do the same thing where I constantly tell people around me, I don't think I can sit here and tell you I regret anything.
Yeah.
I see all of those moments and all those experiences that I don't weren't necessarily favorable or that I loved doing, but I see it as ways that got me closer to where I am, and things that showed me what I don't want. And I had to go through those things in order to make that sort of distinction. So oftentimes, you know, I will get, when I do have these kinds of conversations, it's like, well, you could have done, you know, without doing that. And it's like, but could I really, was it all that bad? And no, it was a learning experience.
Yeah, even those shitty boyfriends, like they all come with a little bit of value. Even if we got to dig deep to find it still had a lesson that we learned there. And it makes me think of, I just heard somebody say this, I can't remember who. They were saying, like, you know, the expression, you win some, you lose some.
Yes.
Let's replace that from you win some and you learn some.
Love it.
So everything still has something to give. So even if it's not a win, you're still learning something that you're taking forward with yourself. And I just thought that was so brilliant.
It makes so much sense. And if you adapt that open mind in saying and in seeing that, exactly what I said, that these opportunities or these things that happen were to a benefit to you, and showing you what needed to happen at that point to bring you to your current situation, then I think people would have a much easier time dealing with some of that hard stuff.
Yes.
And let me tell you, like, hard stuff it's hard.
It's hard.
And I wouldn't tell, it depends on the situation. I wouldn't tell someone who experienced like great loss, you know, you had to experience that, right? Yeah. But you know, when you're working through your identity and working this job or dating this person, it's those situations where I'm like, you had to experience that to know, to better inform who you are.
Yeah. And the reality of it, like you said, like life will have experiences. Great loss is a part of it.
Yes.
But even in that, like if we didn't feel the pain of loss, we wouldn't know the joy of birth. And so it's always like, there is always two sides to it. And you're right. It's just a way you choose to look at things. But I feel like in entrepreneurship and in sales, if you really want to do well in this industry, having a growth mindset at all times versus a victim mindset, because it doesn't matter what's going on outside. Again, we're talking about mindset, the way you see things. So you can look at a shitty situation and still see it in a solution-oriented, positive outlook.
Absolutely.
And so it's really just about, you know, this is a quality that great leaders have, is to be able to always, not always, but most of the times, or be able to quickly shift from going to, why the heck is this happening to me, to, what can I learn from this? This is happening for me. What can I take from this? What is this showing me about myself or the situation? And that's a skill. And like, it's still,
sure,
it challenges us sometimes, right?
Sure.
There's times where I'm like, but then I'm just like, no, remember, it's a choice to have that mindset. And that's who I am, right? I'm always carrying that growth mindset. It's part of the self-image I've built, that if something happens, like, how can I see it in a different way? Because I know that my thoughts control how I feel. And so I don't want,
thoughts are fleeting.
Yeah. And I don't want to think in victim mindset the whole day. I want to see like things in growth mindset. And so that's one of the, I would say, characteristics that I'm building on as I grow my business and grow my team and step into my highest leadership position, is how can I be that for other people, but also help them cultivate that in themselves, because I know it will greatly impact their lives as well, and the environment and the team, and for our clients. Like, that's who people want to work with, people who are in that mindset, that growth energy mindset.
Incredible. So you just mentioned, you know, creating who you are, like what is important to your self-identity. Yeah. And so one thing that I have to mention, that I mentioned as soon as you walked in here, is your sense of fashion, and how you overtly express who you are. We briefly chatted about how like this would be a lot of effort for me. And then Gazzy turned around and said, this would be a lot of effort for her. So how did fashion, or how has fashion informed or just extended upon who you are? How have you used fashion to show people who you are, to creatively express yourself? Because anytime I see you, like the earrings always for me.
Always.
Yes. Always. The hair, the outfits, where does the inspiration come from? And how do you use it to just show people who you are?
I love that question, to be honest. I would say I'll start it from where it started for me. When I was starting to build a business and build my new identity, right? I was like, I'm becoming a new version of myself. I asked myself, like, who is that new version, right? Like, what are her values? What does she wear? What's important to her? And when I created this, let's call
avatar,
it persona, avatar. Yeah. Like, one of the things that really stood out to me, and I have this in my journal when I was writing, was that I'm always dressed in fun colors, and I always wear things that make me feel comfortable and happy. And for me, this makes me feel comfortable and happy because I don't have a zipper. I could also wear it without a bra and it would be really great. I'm wearing comfortable house slippers, but they're velvet and it's pink and there's flowers on my dress. And
that makes you happy.
It makes me happy. And I also find that it makes other people happy. Like, I'm not wearing my glasses today, but I have very fun purple glasses.
You do.
Yeah. And so people always want to chat about these fun, cool glasses. And that's fun for me. So fashion is part of how I express myself. And I love it. Like, I will say, right before I came here, like, I was wearing a baggy t-shirt and I had bedhead. So there are times where I work from home. I don't have to wear pants all the time, right?
No.
So I'm not saying like, oh, I'm always put together and like I have earrings on all the time. Like, I literally was like telling my husband, get the gold earrings from the table before you come. I was already in the hallway. I realized I forgot my earrings. Yeah. But it's part of me feeling good, and it does help. There are days when I feel like absolute poop and I'm like, okay, I'm getting something colorful on. I'm going to wear something that feels good and makes me feel comfortable. And it doesn't matter where you get it from or how much it was. Like,
absolutely.
I'm talking about feel good, right? So it's like, you could wear something from Walmart and feel extremely comfortable and also wear something from Louis Vuitton. And I like to do both. Like, I'm not a one size, like I only shop from these places. Like, I'm just like, I want to wear things that make me feel good. And that's a hack for me, because when I put on earrings, I feel like I got my life together. Yeah. When I wear sparkly eyeshadow, it means I'm going to have a good day. Yes. Like, those are just
means
things.
a little something.
It means a little
to
something
put you together for that day.
Even my nails, like, come on.
They're fantastic.
My friend Dee does them for me, and like, she's an artist. Like, my nails make me feel fabulous. My friends who known me before this identity of mine would be like, you would never be the girl that likes nails. And now I love nails.
You're the nail girl.
They make me feel really good. And so for some people, that might be putting on makeup. For some people, that might be like, you know,
putting on a workout outfit. Honestly, that for me is, I feel comfort. Yes. I feel confidence. And I'm also on my way to teach group fitness. Yes. So I also feel like I set myself up for convenience and just easy transition from here to there.
Same for me, right? Going to meet a client afterwards. This could rock for both. So that's what you said. Like, how did it come up? It's about, I would think about like, who's the woman that I want to become, and how does she express herself, and what's important to her? And then starting to embody little bits of pieces of that in my wardrobe has been super fun for me.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Gazzy has been someone where we have been in connection, and I see this connection lasting much longer. Yes. In addition to, you know, all the other fantastic women that have been on this podcast. I did mention to somebody the other day that I do want to have like a panel set up. Ooh. Would love for you to be there.
Would love that.
Before we sign off, please tell everyone where they can find you, your social media, like plug yourself. Go for it.
Okay, well, I say two things. If you want to read like interesting things about my thoughts on sales, then you find me on LinkedIn. But if you want to see me dance, shoot the shit, play with my cat, and give some good sales advice, then you hang out with me on Instagram. So it just depends what side of Gazzy you want to get. But if you want to follow me on both, my name across all channels is Authentic Gazzy. And yeah, I'm usually hanging out in the DMs. So if you actually listen to this podcast and you come follow me, it would be cool if you sent me a DM so I know where you found me from.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.
I can't wait to attend one of your events. I'm looking forward to the Run the World Summit. Yes. So you will definitely see me there. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in. And that's another episode.
We will definitely see you there soon. Yes.